When I went round Craig's house for the first time, he introduced me to the acid game. I remember we played it for 6 hours straight, and when I left I couldn't wait to tell my friends about it. Craig was like a god to us at first, but in hindsight though, he only really ever had one good idea, and the rest were just variations of the theme. It didn't matter though. If he was put on this earth to spread one simple message, then his job was done. The rules of the game are simple. Never touch the floor.
You mean like sharks?
I think we used to call it piranhas in our neck of the woods.
No, it's acid.
Same sort of thing, though.
No, it's a completely different thing. If it was sharks, then you could put your hand in the water for a second or two before they swam over to kill you. Plus they'd be rising out of the water and shit just like in Jaws and biting your arm off. No, if it's acid, then one touch and you've burnt your foot off. Fall in and it's instant game over.
And that's it? Those are the rules?
Yeah. Never touch the floor. All other rules are consequential. We put up planks and ropes and stuff to stay off the floor. The game wouldn't be much fun if you could get everywhere too easily, so you'd have to swing on a rope or monkey climb across a gap, maybe jump to a branch on a tree. We soon added rules. Each player would stick 12 pegs in plain view somewhere in the garden for the other person to try and retrieve, so the harder the reach, the better. The first person to reach all 12 pegs, and more importantly get them back to his designated base, was the winner. Each time we played again, the game arena spread out across the garden and we'd have to find even more ways to cross it. Maybe we'd use a bike or a skateboard.
Surely the wheels would melt.
Acid proof.
Isn't that cheating? Aren't you making up the rules as you go?
It doesn't matter. As long as you give it a rule and then stick to it, that's all that matters. If you say a piece of concrete is safe to touch, or you designate a rug or a carpet as safe ground, then that's fine. When we were little, Craig used to draw out our games in felt tip. He envisioned huge metal tankers pumping acid into his world. Sometimes he ranted about this world as if it were a real one. And he would talk about us setting up residence high in the sky, whilst the rest of the population sank beneath the burning surface. But kids talk like that. I played the game every summer throughout my childhood, and then I stopped for some stupid reason. I think her name was Joanne. But I was bound to find my way back to the acid game sooner or later. Come to think of it, it was more like the game found its way back to me. I hadn't seen Craig for a couple of years, and then one day he just rolled into town looking like a success story. He mentioned the idea when I was particularly low. One of those grey months when the days start to blur into one another. Seemed like a good idea. In fact, it seemed like a fantastic idea. All I had to do was wait for the signal.
When? I'll let you know. In the meantime, best set your pegs. Do it in the next week at least. I'll be in touch.
We both went on to place 12 pegs on the map. But unlike when we were 10 years old and the acid ran to the neighbour's wall, this time it was the size of the city. The only rules, the pegs had to be on show, and once the game began, you couldn't move them. The winner would be the first person to find all of their hidden pegs and return them back to base, or failing that, whoever had returned the most after the game duration of 1 year. During the week, I wouldn't normally go looking for pegs. Day-to-day life could be draining enough without the hassle of extra excursions. spent the evenings planning, mapping out, anything to get into the mindset of Craig to work out where he would have placed them. I had 1 year, so one a month would be reasonable. Craig and I would only contact each other on the 1st of each month. He said it was so we could compare progress. But I knew that he'd be using these meetings to try and draw some clues out of me. Some facial gesture and a slip in conversation. But I also knew that I'd be hoping for the same from him. And he knew that too. If I was correct, Craig was 2 pegs in front, maybe 3. It was time to up the ante.
Was that always there?
I already said there is only one rule to the acid game. This does not prevent each player conducting his own game by a unique code of practice. I've long kept a record of my own mantra. Try to live by these laws. Payne's Law 36. Clear any surfaces that are regular stepping points, particularly hot drinks or spillable liquids. Payne's Law 27. Never wear gloves. You may think they will protect your hands, and you'd be right. They keep them clean and fresh like a little girl's. But you need rough man hands. Learn to ignore splinters. Payne's Law 11. Don't underestimate the distance of a chump.